Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of Mint Techcetra brought to you by GE Healthcare. In this episode, we're going to talk about transforming the healthcare delivery and the promise of digital health and precision care. Did you know that the e-health market in India is projected to reach a staggering $10.6 billion by 2025? Telemedicine in particular shows immense potential and is expected to hit $5.4 billion. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has brought about game changing applications like e hospital, e blood banks, and online registration systems under the Digital India initiative. And with the increased budget allocation, the National Digital Health Mission is set to transform healthcare. But it's not just India. The global digital health market is set to soar with a projected growth of 16.5% from 2021 to 2027, reaching a staggering $551.1 billion. In recent years, the medical device sector has witnessed groundbreaking innovations in digital health, from wearable devices to smart inhalers. These advancements hold the key to transforming healthcare delivery and improving patient outcomes. And the buck doesn't stop there. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing healthcare from early disease diagnosis to drug trials and cancer treatments. In India alone, AI expenditure is skyrocketing. It is expected to reach $11.78 billion by 2025. It is also expected to add a whopping $1 trillion to India's economy by 2035. Yet challenges persist. Join us in this episode as we explore the incredible potential of digital health and the roadblocks hindering its progress with Girish Raghavan, Vice President, Engineering at GE Healthcare. Girish has an experience of over 24 years specializing in product development technology, engineering, and leading global development centers. During the course of 2 decades at GE, he has held numerous engineering and technology leadership positions in the field of software, hardware, systems, services, and digital engineering. Currently, he leads the Healthcare Technology Center India at GE Healthcare South Asia and the Global Engineering for Edison Platform, a strategic project for GE Healthcare. Welcome to this episode, Girish. How are you today?
Yeah, Ayush, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to talk to you today and look forward to a very interesting conversation with you today.
Girish, the digital health isn't a word restricted in the confines of its industry. As content creators, podcasters, and RJs, we too are witnessing how the healthcare industry is among the first few to embrace technology and transform so quickly to adapt to the times. Still, the term is a bit elusive. Can you break it down in terms of where the industry is and what are the latest trends you see in making news a couple of months down the line?
Sure, Ayush. So I would like to step back a bit and talk about some of the macro economic trends we are seeing today, or macro health trends we are seeing today as an industry. So firstly, I would say that COVID has been a major accelerator to this transformation. So I think the future generations would classify healthcare reforms as pre-COVID and post-COVID. That is the magnitude of acceleration we are seeing in the post-COVID world. So in the post-COVID world, we are seeing a lot of focus going towards virtual care. Right. Unlike in the past, when we are physically bound to a hospital building, we walk into a hospital, and that is when you are entering a hospital. So that is changing dramatically, where we no more have walls for hospitals. Right. So virtual care is becoming the new trend today. I'm sure in the pre-COVID world, if you had spoken to your doctor, your physician, and said, "Can I do a video call?" You would have had a different response, right? But today, doing a virtual call and talking about some of the basic elements is becoming the norm today. So virtual care is going to be a significant differentiator. The second thing is the whole space of remote patient monitoring, right? So today, hospitals are very keen to get patients off their hospital because the beds are very limited. And earlier, when a patient gets admitted and when they go through a surgery, they stay in the hospital for an extended period of time just for monitoring. And actually, it's a waste of resources because there are 10 other folks waiting for the same bed. So today's trend is about to have these these patients go back to their home, and where you can remotely monitor the patient sitting in an hospital, and the patient continues to be in their usual routine. So that is the second thing. The third one we are seeing today as a big thing is remote radiology or remote clinicians, right? So you do a CT or an X-ray image, and then you have a radiologist sitting in a remote part of the world who can look at the CT or X-ray and give his interpretation, right? Which is going to address some of the biggest or the pressing challenges we have today about availability of trained physicians or clinicians in the industry today, or I would say enough trained physicians or clinicians in the industry today. So if you look at these three examples I told, which are a significant transformation to the way healthcare is going to be delivered in the post-COVID era, is driven by digital transformation. Okay, so one would be definitely for a virtual care. You need to have computer vision. You need to have infrastructure in place where you can remotely monitor the patient. Right. So today, in today's world, if you look at a patient who's sitting at home, you have so many sensors available on the patient's body that daily morning it will just monitor everything and it will just send it to the cloud. And you have a clinician who would sit in a hospital and he would be monitoring hundreds of patients. And we have got some advanced algorithms built which will able to look at all the patients. So a physician will be looking at, say, 100 patients, right? But the system is so smart enough, it will go and tell the clinician that this particular patient sitting in a particular location, say Bhopal, right, has got a difference in variation in his blood pressure. And it gives attention to the patient. And then the clinician can log in and see what's happening. And even there, we have advanced things like computer vision, camera-based technology, where with the click of a button, the physician can log in to the patient's room and see what the patient is doing, how is he doing, have a video call with the patient, and make sure he's comfortable with how it is happening, right? And similarly, this will happen today. 5G is not so prevalent today in the country, but over the course of time, when 5G comes in, you'll see all these making some huge transformation in the way healthcare would deliver. So to a lot of extents, what I would say, Ayush, is that the post-COVID world, the transformation what has been, what we're witnessing today is driven primarily by digital transformation. Okay, so that is how I would break down this whole space of digital and how it is applicable to healthcare.
We're talking about innovation. So many innovation-oriented disciplines are invested in the healthcare business. There's tech, there's industrial design, service design, user experience, user interface, and now there is AI. But what, according to you, is the most promising technology that will transform the face of healthcare?
So I will again perhaps step back a bit. I should talk about what is it we're trying to solve, right? So I think we're trying to solve two big things. One is accessibility and affordability. I'm bucketizing them into one element. How do we make healthcare more accessible and affordable, okay, to people in tier 2, tier 3 cities, and so on and so forth? Second is, how do we improve the clinical outcomes, right? This is a well-known thing that it's a well-studied stuff where the third largest cause of death in the United States is because of medical misdiagnosis or mistreatment and so on and so forth, right? So how do we improve clinical outcomes? So accessibility, affordability, and clinical outcomes. These are two big things. And if you look at from a technology perspective, what is going to help? It is applied AI for sure, right? And how does AI help? So I'll give you an example. Today, if you walk into a hospital, right? Say if you go back and see 8 years back, a radiologist would have had perhaps 10 CTs in a day or 10 X-rays in a day. He comes at 8 o'clock in the morning. He will look at some scans. He will have time to go to the various rooms for like CTs or MR systems, come back, have lunch, just well spread out. Today, a radiologist in a busy hospital would go through something like 70 to 80 CT scans in a day. It is humanly impossible to have very good attention level to that level of detail. And then he has to work after 6:30, 7 o'clock to make reports for the day. And then by the time it's done, is totally tired, right? So where AI is helping is precisely there. We are going to assist the clinicians to make the right calls. So we use AI to say, okay, if you got 100 CTs with you, which is available for the radiologists to see, the AI would help the clinicians to prioritize. So the system would automatically prioritize and say the ones which have got the highest problem, it will bubble it up. So the focus goes on that, right? And maybe after lunch, when he is not so rigorous, he can look at some of the things and just make sure it is fine, right? Similarly, if you look at a PET scan, today we use AI to identify lesions, and we just put a circle around that. and the clinicians can look at it and say, it makes sense. Yes, it is an action, or it doesn't make sense. Okay, forget it. Just ignore it, right? So basically, we have to assess the clinicians to improve productivity, to democratize the quality of care across the healthcare ecosystem. And very importantly, towards the end of the day, we help in reporting. So today, reporting, in the olden days, they have to open a Word and they have to type. It takes 5 to 8 days to get a report documented, and then you have to go to the chief radiologist who will review it, sign it. By then, the patient gets a report. You have lost 3 to 4 days, right? Maybe even a week and a half to 10 days in some cases, I'm aware of. But today, using AI, we're able to pre-format and provide a report proactively. And the clinician has to just open it and go through some of the vitals over there, just check whether everything is fine, add some comments, remove some comments, right? So there's something to work on. Thereby drastically reducing the amount of time it would take to make those reports. So I think these are all some of the big transformation we are seeing thanks to the technology. So coming back to your question, accessibility, affordability is one big driver. Second is the clinical outcome. So technologies like AI is going to play a huge role over there. 5G is going to play a huge role in the future, Ayush, because today, if you look at in a hospital, in a healthcare ecosystem in India, a lot of people come to tier 1 cities, not because there are no hospitals there. They come because they don't have experts over there, right? In the future, the hospitals will go to the patient as against patient coming to the hospital. So it's possible that a patient sitting in a tier 3 city, okay, would be seen by a clinician sitting in a tier 1 city. And we'll go to such an extent in the future where they can even do surgery remotely using robotics, right? So 5G would play a huge role in the future in providing accessibility and affordability to healthcare in the lower, in tier 2, tier 3 cities.
When it comes to health, for the longest time, innovation has been one of the pillar and reliability another. But with advancements in technology and timely accuracy is also achievable. But why is precision care necessary and how will it change the way that healthcare is delivered?
So I think you're right. So for a very long period of time, innovation and reliability have been seen as two different pillars, right? But with precision care, I think it's changing it dramatically. So precision care, if you try to break it down, there are two parts to it. One is what we call the precision health, other is the operational health, right? So operational health is about the hospital ecosystem. How do you make it operationally efficient? How do you make it very fine-tuned towards the need of their time? I'll give you an example of operational efficiency or operational health over there. And there's a clinical health, which is the precision health piece of it. So operational health is all about if you go to a hospital, assuming you're running a large hospital and you got hundreds of CTs in 10 different hospital locations you have. Right? How do we ensure that the hospital is optimized to get the best utilization? Right? So the management of fleets of CTs across 10 different cities. Right? So technology plays a huge role over there where you can monitor all the systems, see the load of the systems. Depending on the patient profile, you know where to send the patients to. So I've seen hospitals where there are 5 CT systems, 2 are super busy and 3 are idle. Okay, it's just that the person while allocating the patients to a CT would allocate cardiac patients to a particular CT, right? And because of the load, they would also allocate some of the neuro patients to the same CT. Ideally, they should be spread across multiple CTs, right? So that is one big thing. The other thing is the whole question of smart scheduling. See, in the previous days, Ayush, the whole ecosystem was thriving with the doctor at the middle of the ecosystem. So if you want to get an appointment with a doctor, it's purely based on doctor's availability, right? But today things have changed. Today, when you set up a time with a doctor, it is based upon doctor's availability and your availability. So in the future, when we come with some very smart scheduling solutions, the solution would be able to look at a patient, look at a doctor availability, look at patient's profile. Okay, he's a late riser or an early riser. Okay, 9 o'clock in the past, he has never attended a consultation. So, okay, it's going to rain that day, coming from a far off place, there'll be traffic jam. So you can take a lot of elements into account to make sure that there is a higher chance of the patient coming to the doctor. And today, if you go to a good hospital, you'll find that the hospital would pay the doctor for 1 hour of his time. Okay, but assuming that 10 patients coming to the doctor in 1 hour, and in most cases, you'll find only 7 turn up. Okay, so it's actually loss for the hospital as well. So the operational efficiency part is what I was talking about, smart scheduling, all the smart technology is going to make a big difference, right? I would even go one step further, Ayush, and talk about smart devices. So today, the basic assumption is that the devices are dumb, right? Until a couple of years back, device is dumb, the operator is smart. Operator has to tell the patient, the device, what to do. The operator will say start the scan, it will start the scan. Stop, it will stop. Pause, it will pause, right? But today the systems have become so smart, they're very intelligent, that the system would tell the operator what to do. So we are trying to take away the expertise which is required from a technologist. That way, we are trying to normalize the quality of care. So today PTs will come and tell, or today's MR would tell the technologist, looks like the patient has moved a bit, so you should do a rescan. Okay, or today's X-ray will tell the technologist, looks like this would need a re-X-ray. So there are cases, I don't know if you've experienced, you leave the hospital, go back home, and somebody will call you and say, come back, the X-ray was not good, right? So systems have become very, very smart today, where it will tell the clinicians what to do as against the other way around. So this is the operation efficiency part. Then comes the clinical outcome or the precision health piece of it. That is precisely where AI is going to help, right? So precision health is all about how do we optimize protocols. Okay, so for example, today in our CTs, what we have, the CT system is so intelligent thanks to its AI, inbuilt AI engine, what we have, that the system would look at the patient. Oh, I have patient X on the table. It will go and look at the hospital information system or the risk system, and it will recommend to the clinician what protocol to use to get the optimal image. Okay, so that is awesome, because in the past, the technology will have to call the radiologist, okay, and ask him what should I choose, or he have to go through some calculation to figure out what has to be done. Today, systems are so smart. The system will go and recommend to the clinician what to use, right? So there's another example of I would say, of the precision health piece of it. So I think the precision health and the operational health together is what constitutes the precision care.
If you look at the life cycle of how diseases are detected, treated, and kept at bay with post-treatment care, especially when it comes to critical conditions, there's a lot that goes into making that happen. So, how is GE Healthcare working to integrate emerging technologies in patient care?
So I will pick up few key technologies, Ayush, which are very relevant to the healthcare space. One big one is computer vision. Okay, so computer vision today, I would say, plays an important role in both device management as well as in terms of remote patient monitoring. In device management, because assuming there is a patient on a CT scan, on a scanner, the computer vision sitting on top of the CT room can in fact look at the patient and say whether it's well positioned. Okay, it will tell where to do the scan, how to do the scan, etc. So that is one advantage. The other advantage, if you look at some of the large hospitals we have in the US primarily, so we have a lot of patients in an ICU, right? Today, if you look at a ICU or critical care unit, you need to have a patient, an attendant who would have to be at the bedside watching the patient, right? It's quite expensive affair as well. So today, using computer vision technology, we can predict, okay, to a reasonable degree, I won't say 100%, predict to a reasonable degree whether the patient is about to fall, okay? And in fact, you can even monitor and say, as the patient has gone to the restroom, he hasn't come back after, say, 20 minutes. The system will give an alert to tell the patient was on the table, the patient has gone, he hasn't come back in 20 minutes, it will give an alert, and the nurse can go back and check what happened to the patient. So computer vision plays a huge role over there, right? The other area would obviously be applied AI, and I gave examples around clinical outcomes, huge role to play there, where it can significantly improve the quality of care for clinicians and physicians across the world. And third one is 5G, obviously, because 5G helps to take accessibility to the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and thereby significantly improve the accessibility of technologies to the areas where it needs the most. So in the future, you'll find that we will have clinicians can remotely sitting in a tier 1 city. You can have a technologist operate a CT scanner in a tier 3 city with some local assistance. You still need somebody in the room, but you can do a lot of things remotely, because the 5G technology would significantly help in terms of low bandwidth, right? So low latency and high bandwidth, right? So that's going to be a big thing. And lastly, cloud. Cloud is making a huge inroad, Ayush. Cloud is going to become the operating system of this universe in the years ahead. Because what will happen is, if you take the example of what I'm referring to, you have, using cloud technology, you can have somebody sitting in Delhi looking at records of a patient sitting in Bangalore, as an instance, or on a Tirupur or Salem, right? So cloud will play a huge role. because now, until recently, the healthcare systems were confined within the hospital premise. It's stored in big servers in the hospital device. By things going to the cloud, both the patient as well as the clinicians have access to it across the system. And what's going to compound it quite a bit is going to be the new policies by the government of India, like Ayushman Bharat and so on and so forth, are going to tremendously help this, because in the future, thanks to Ayushman Bharat and the digital health mission, what is being put in place, the backbone what we have, it's possible that a patient who's going to hospital B can authorize the hospital B to retrieve records from hospital A, and all this will come over the cloud system, right? So significant advancements they're expecting in the healthcare space because of these technologies, Ayush.
Girish, you're a passionate globetrotter who prefers walking the path less traveled. And back in 2017, you got a chance to bring together this passion with your other one, engineering. When you were the engineering leader for Revolution ACT or ACT product line, you brought affordable diagnostics to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in India, ASEAN, and Africa. Rest assured, you understand the gap between advancement and accessibility. So, what are some of the most significant challenges associated with implementing digital health solutions in healthcare? And how can these challenges be addressed?
So I think as far as the CT is concerned, the problem we were trying to solve, Ayush, when we started this project was about accessibility. So if you look at two big cities, I'll give you an example. You have, say, Bangalore and Coimbatore as an example. Okay. So in the past, when you have any accident in between, or Bangalore and Salem, to make it simpler, right? Two cities. If something happens between these two cities, the patient has to go either to Bangalore or to Salem, right? Or one of the nearest cities what we have. The problem is, in a trauma case, assuming there's an accident at midnight, you have only 1 hour or 1.5 hours if you're lucky to reach the nearest hospital. And that was a major issue because you can't reach either Bangalore or Salem if you're right in the middle in 1.5 hours either ways, right? So that was a big challenge. So we actually went after this particular problem to see how do we bring CTs to Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and thereby improve the quality of care we want to provide to patients in that part of the world. Interestingly, what we did, Ayush, at that point in time, we actually worked with some 250 clinicians in the country, clinicians and technologists and hospital administrators in the country. We asked them, what do you want? What are your pressing needs? It was very interesting. The first thing they told us is space. Okay. So they said, we want CT which is very compact. We don't have the luxury of building a new building just because GE has a CT. I'm in a Tier 2 city. I already have a hospital built 10 years back. It's maybe my dad's or my family clinic, or it's my own clinic which I set up. I cannot afford to build one more. So we have to design a CT which was so light that it can sit on the 5th floor. So we actually were able to reduce the weight of the CT system by 50% versus the predecessor product. So you can take it to the 4th or 5th floor and keep it over there. They don't have to build a new building or change their basements completely. That was one. The second thing they told, interestingly, was power quality. Okay, so we have a lot of, actually in 2017, we had a lot of power fluctuations, and the customers are worried about the total cost of ownership. So if you have a CT system and you have a power, it will just cost them crazy. The operational cost will go up significantly. So what we did is as part of our innovation, we made sure that the power consumption for the CT system is so less that we are able to reduce the power consumption by 47%.
Wow.
Okay. So it actually improves the CT's efficiency. It is also cost effective operationally for the hospital, right? So that is the second thing we did. The third thing we did is what I was talking to you earlier about the availability of trained technologists. It's very difficult to get them in a Tier 2, Tier 3 city because they all migrate to a Tier 1 city over a period of time. So we actually simplified the user interface so much that people can't make a mistake. Okay, so it's like having a cockpit in an aeroplane versus auto rickshaws system, right? So basically, we remove all the buttons. We have only start, stop, push, very few basic buttons, right? That's all you can do. You can't make mistakes. We automated a lot of things behind the scene that it significantly reduced the technical skills required for the technologists to operate the system. It was a big thing because to this way, we're able to take the CT system to Tier 2, Tier 3. And if we hadn't got this one thing right, we would have not been able to penetrate so much because there's no point having a CT system which nobody can operate. right?
Hmm.
And the last thing we did is we never compromised on the image quality, which is very crucial for clinical outcomes. So we worked with the image quality systems what we have, made sure that the image quality is as good as what we had in the predecessor system, right? So though we are taking the cost out and making it more cost effective, we never compromise on the image quality of the system. So I think these are the four big innovations which I think transformed the CT or healthcare scenario in the country since 2017.
Fantastic. I mean, just listening to this, I've been enlightened. I am an engineer myself. I've done mechanical engineering, and to think of a problem, then solving that problem, and then making it simpler so that it comes for a common good. Thank you so much, Girish, for such a riveting conversation. Your insights into the healthcare industry definitely helped us understanding it better. Not only that, now we know where to look when it comes to digital health.
Thank you, Ayush. Thanks for the opportunity. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Girish, once again. While it is true that only 64 doctors are available per 1 lakh people in India, and a lack of infrastructure in primary healthcare centers, especially in rural India, which houses 70% of the population, access to high quality diagnostic services remains a concern. But this is also true that digital health and precision care will be the revolution that will help change all this. It will shape the future of healthcare in India and beyond. Once again, thanking Girish Raghavan to share his time and insights on Mint Techcetra, brought to you by G Healthcare.